Hey, Pac-Man's in Smash Brothers! You know what that means? Pac-Man's in Smash Brothers. Obligatory Pac-Man episode! Pac-Man is probably the most iconic video game mascot in history. You'll be hard-pressed to find a gamer out there who hasn't at least heard of the game or the series of games that followed. In fact, I don't believe there's one system where Pac-Man has not shown up on. He had his own board game and pinball machine, for crying out loud. I mean, his kid had a pinball machine. Now that's power. The history of Pac-Man is a pretty simple one. Toru Iwatani, along with a small group of game designers at Namco, developed a game centered around eating. It was called Pac-Man, titled around the Japanese onomatopoeia phrase for, well, eating. Eating is a lot of sounds, but it's certainly not Paku. Kind of like how Wan Wan is a dog barking. Hey Bobby, say Wan Wan! See, he said roof! Originally, Pac-Man was going to be titled Puck-Man, but of course the change was dropped due to the realization that the P could easily be turned into the letter F to form the word Fartman. But of course that didn't stop Germany.
From German, the word Frichen, which means to strike.
Toru on numerous occasions has stated that the designs was based off of a pizza. Although as time went on and Americans have realized that there are more things other than America, Toru has claimed that the design also stemmed from the Japanese character for mouth. Though one would think Pac-Man would end up a bit more square than originally planned. The idea of power pellets was also inspired from the concept of Popeye when he eats spinach. So Popeye is not only connected to Mario, but to a pizza that eats ghosts. Man, to think that if Popeye became the iconic video game star today instead of Mario, I'd say we'd be in a much different place. It's also funny to think that Mr. Iwatani made the game the way it was because he felt there weren't enough female gamers in arcades. So does that mean Miss Pac-Man was meant for the male demographic? Anyway, I'm not here to talk about each individual game in Pac-Man's history, as there are a ton of them. And like I said, the first game alone has probably been ported more than Dragon's Lair. Not to mention, holy crap, there are so many How to Win It Pac-Man books out there. It's weird to think that, yeah, there actually is a strategy to this simple game, and people have gone with titles as the greatest Pac-Man players of all time. It's borderline ridiculous to think that Pac-Man is so recognizable for its simplicity. I mean, it's just a circle with a slice taken out of it. But even then, in terms of a mascot, Pac-Man's design has been kind of, well, let's just say indecisive at the time. But then we get this. What the hell am I looking at here? It's like a bunch of stick figures with giant grapefruit heads decided to start playing Risk, and they sent out their Olympic athletes in dire need of pepperoni slices to fend off against the man-eating shroud people. On the other hand, my all-time favorite off-design is the original Midway arcade cabinet, Red-Eyed Pac-Man. Look at that smirk. He had attitude before it became a staple in the game industry.
Yeah. These ghosts is toast.
I mean, I'd love to see a whole cartoon surrounded in this design alone. Well, anyway, enough of that nonsense. Pac-Man's official design became a bit more, let's say, Mickey Mouse-ish, if that's even a phrase. Recognizable, marketable, simplistic. The addition of red boots and Pinocchio nose are a bit more fitting. He's welcoming, friendly. He's a character you want to play as without fear of... yeah... And while we can complain that perhaps modern times have kind of amped up this concept in awkward ways, the past hasn't been too kind to him in this regard either. But let's stop for a minute and focus on one of the games that did something a little different compared to the other games. You see, this game made Pac-Man jump,
jump! Hey, go, Big Pac-Man, jump, jump!
Yes, I am indeed talking about the arcade classic Pac-Mania, which gave a skewed 3D perspective on the original Pac-Man concept. Instead of a static widescreen of the entire maze, the camera was forced to follow Pac-Man a little bit more closely, giving a more claustrophobic feeling that made you a little less aware of your surrounding. This meant that ghosts could have popped up at any given moment, and your only course of action was to simply jump over them. This was quite a neat little gimmick that brought a whole new strategy to the common gameplay. Of course, this could also be a bad thing, as when you jump, you are missing out on a few Pac pellets and may have to turn back to grab the rest. You also are forced to time your jumps a little bit more carefully, as ghosts tend to cluster about in groups, which could mean wider jumps have to be achieved. In addition to this, other ghosts can jump as soon as you do. Green ones jump at a bit more delayed time, giving you the chance to jump over them, but it has to be timed with precision, while dark blue ghosts jump at the same moment you do and can't be leapt over at all. The game has about 4 different maps, and while you can decide to choose where to start at the beginning of the game, the difficulty depends on the stage. The further you are, the more green ghosts there are, and the more difficult it is for you to maneuver around the ghosts themselves.
Speaking of ghosts, the 5 main return: Inky, Blinky, Pinky, Clyde, and Sue. The green jumping ones are common. No, not the adjective. Their name are literally common. Or funky, as the intermission suggests.
The game itself is a lot of fun. Some would say it's not as perfect as the original titles, but I think it's a great little game in that it did something inventive with the given material and is fun just to pass the time. While I mainly focused on the arcade version of the title, it's been ported quite a few times and has found itself on several obscure consoles, such as the
Atari ST, Amstrad CPC, the ZX Spectrum, Commodore 64, the Amiga, MSX and MSX2, something called the Acorn Archimedes, not to mention unofficially on the Nintendo thanks to Tengen, the Sega Master System, and the Genesis.
Excuse me, I was channeling something there. It's also found its way into several of Namco's collections and phone app games. I say definitely get it on one of the Namco collections if you can, especially since many of them hold a plethora of other classics that are essential for any gamer new and old. Heck, I managed to find Pac-Mania on good old-fashioned literature.
I would like to read some poetic excerpts from the book Pac-Mania by Holler Schwartz, the official Pac-Man joke book. Pac-Man of the Year. He's on the front of Time magazine. This is already riveting. Pac-Saw. Oh, like hacksaw, you know, but it's a Pac-Saw. Get it? Actually, it looks like he has a tongue made of a fork. He seems to be drowning in this. It's not necessarily swimming. Pac-Mail photo. Okay, this has 2 Pac-Men. I'm assuming this was before Mrs. Pac-Man. Pac-Man with new dentures. Okay, so this is kind of sad. He can't open his mouth, nor can he close his lips. Pac-ache. He's got Pac-Man Fever. Pac-Man biting the bullet. What else will Pac-Man put in his mouth, folks? Will it be a cabinet? Or a lamp? Or a carpet? Or wacko. Pac-Man keeping a stiff upper lip.
Pac-Man is a video game legend, and despite some shortcomings, he'll always be around. It's really nice to see that even in the game development community, he's given as much care, attention, and respect as many other memorable characters in the video game world, and deservedly should. We should understand that it's difficult to bring a classic character to a more modern sensibility, and we see it's tried several times. Some moments, change is a good thing, but if you keep to its roots, you will definitely see that a character can be timeless. It doesn't have to try too hard to be fancy or hip just to gain the attention of a newer generation. Otherwise, it becomes dated. Times and interests change, but there's still a love for the classic because because it's so timeless that a wide range of audience can enjoy it. So it can still be itself with maybe a few little bells and whistles here and there just to keep it from getting too old-fashioned. Characters like Pac-Man are not just here because of nostalgia, but because he's a memorable, if not even more memorable than several game characters that followed over the years since his time.
Pac-Man Fever is still on the rise, and the only cure is more Pac-Man. So let's all get sick and contagious on Pac-Mania. You know, that didn't quite come out the way I intentionally wanted in the first place.
'Cause I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever. It's driving me crazy. Driving me crazy. I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. Going out of my mind. I got Pac-Man fever. Pac-Man fever. I'm going out of my mind. Going out of my mind. I got all the patterns down up until the night key. I got Speedy on my tail and I know it's either him or me. So I'm heading out the back door and in the other side.
Thank you so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, please check out my other videos. Also, please like, comment, and subscribe. And take a look at my Patreon to find out how to further help support my channel. Just remember that the more views and subscribers, the more I can continue making videos. Thanks again and see you next time.